Have you ever had anyone tell you that your idea was ridiculous? We're going to talk more about that. Welcome to another episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I'm your host, Katrin Becker. On this podcast, we interview all sorts of different successful people from different areas of life because every successful person had to go through failures to get successful. And we want to learn what they have learned that has made them so successful. Because while a smart person learns from their mistakes, a genius learns from the mistakes of others. So we're going to learn about those failures so that we can either avoid them completely or we can fail through them faster. I have a special treat for you this week because we have a twofer. We have two guests here with you today, and they are so amazing, and they are going to tell you why you should try to be ridiculous and how you go from ridiculous to remarkable. So Jeffrey Kipple and Mindy Blackstein, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So good to be here.
It's so much fun when there's two people that's like we just doubled the energy and the fun and the excitement. So it jazzes me, and I'm really grateful for you guys for being here. So you have a book called The Ridiculous. Most people try to avoid being called ridiculous, but you're saying let's go for it. Let's do ridiculous. Tell us some more about the book and kind of the ethos behind it.
The things that seem to really empower people and inspire people are when someone does go against what the norm is and does something that's ridiculous. And I mean, our whole career was really based around that. We started in the fitness industry, and when we started to do what we were going to do, we were told it's ridiculous. We were told you're not going to get the support. You're not going to, be able to achieve what you want to achieve. And I think that was something that even made us want to do it even more, to really prove it wrong. So
we did.
And we did. On our book side, yeah, it's something that I started writing when I was like around 15, 16.
Wow.
And it was something that I came back to throughout my life because it's a comedy. And, every time I wanted my own little pick-me-up, I would go back and read and then add to it and things like that. During the lockdown period, like Mindy always knew about the book when I met her. So we've been together for about 25 years. I think I told her about the book on like the first date.
Yeah, date number one.
When the whole lockdown and all those things happened, Mindy said, why don't you go back to a passion and just do something ridiculous and relaunch that or do it or finish it, like finally finish that and finish a passion project and do it. And we did. But what was cool with it is all these life experiences along the way that we've had now start to get embedded. So what started out as a teenage type, book now has become something much bigger, where we were able to embed all these lessons and messages and insights that we've had throughout our life. So our message has been that through our book.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think, it's been a theme on this podcast with some of the other guests about so many of the ideas that we have like placed on our heart, they seem ridiculous to anyone else because they weren't placed on their heart. They were placed on ours.
That's a good way of saying
it. Oh yeah,
it.
that is a great way of looking at it.
I love that.
And I think about that all the time of, it's why we exist, why we breathe. And so I love that you're giving people more inspiration in that place. But, you were mentioning in the fitness industry when you guys were starting that people were saying what you were doing was ridiculous. How did you come? I mean, we got to share the idea so we all know what it was, but I'm curious as to whose idea it was first and then how you worked together to bring the other person on board, or was it truly a balanced collaboration?
Good question.
So, and there's two parts to that then. So as it relates to the fitness world and things like that, we came together and we established something that really didn't exist in the marketplace. So what we started was really the natural bodybuilding and fitness movement. And when
fitness modeling.
So I started to put that together, and then I met Mindy just as we were going to get everything launched.
So it was like his idea first.
Yeah.
And then we came together, and then it became both of us because we came from two different angles and backgrounds. Yeah.
Oh,
interesting. But when we did start talking to potential sponsors and people about it, we were laughed at. At the first meetings, we were laughed at. And, all we did is we came back and said, okay, well, we're going to show you what we're actually doing. And when we'd come back in and have different presentations and show them really what our goal is, and they picked up on the energy that we had, that we're going to do this. So either it's without you or without you. And I think that allowed people to have belief in what we were saying we're going to do and allowed it to be done. And then that's where, that ridiculous part goes from, well, that's like that negative side of that's ridiculous to, wow, that's ridiculous. You did it.
Right.
And right. And like you're saying, it's because it's only feels that way to you because you have the passion to it. But if you can inspire people with that passion to it, then more people see, well, maybe the things that I'm thinking of, I can also do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny how us as humans, so many times people have to see it first to believe it. They don't believe it can be done until someone else has done it. And then it's like, oh yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And can improve upon it and go faster. So it's a really interesting thing. But my question that leads me into that is, how did you find the motivation to keep going? Because so many people give up on their dreams when they have those seeds of doubt planted. How did you overcome that?
I think it was driven by like a sense of purpose. It was like for both of us, we both came at it with visions, and we knew that this is what we were destined to do. On different fronts on like the fitness realm. So what we did, what we learned from it, and then what we rethought, or we had to unlearn what we learned and put out in the fitness industry, and then rethink a different way to come back in.
At least for me, and I think it's for both of us, is there was no thought of failure of it. It was, well, this is what our vision is.
This is what we have to do.
I can visualize that that's what it's going to be. So if I could have the visualization of it, well, then it exists. I just have to believe in that. But it's not just believe, it's you have to take all the actions. So we took all the actions to move that forward, not just I believe and hopefully it's going to come. It was more,
I'll just sit here and just let it come.
Sit here and let it happen. There was a lot to do to make that happen. It was the belief and knowing. I think that's what it is. It's just the knowing that it will be, as long as we keep giving energy towards it.
And like deeper than that, it's choosing to believe. So it's having the belief and then choosing to embrace it and like follow it. Because when you do, suddenly different things open up, and different like things that you wouldn't have noticed before are now in front of you because you've chosen to believe. So because your mind only holds certain amounts of information, the information it's going to pick up on is what you want to attract. So like choosing to believe is like of utmost importance, I believe. And that's what helped us go forward and like do the ridiculous. And we did achieve the remarkable, in my opinion.
I love that. And people choose to believe all sorts of negative stuff about themselves. So why not choose to believe the positive?
Right.
There's just as much bubble of possibility of that, even teeny fraction of it being the reality compared to all the other possibilities. So why not focus on the thing that actually will make you feel good if you get it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what was the transition that led from the fitness world and the fitness modeling? And you mentioned, Jeff, that you'd had this idea for the book for a while, but it's really evolved as to how you are serving people. So what was that evolution like for you?
So we enjoyed everything we did in the fitness world. We did start to get very disillusioned, more because we saw that so much emphasis was placed on the outward appearance that people forgot about the inside. And we said, fitness needs to be much more than just strength and appearance. It has to include mental and emotional and social and functional and spiritual health too. And then as we started looking deeper on that, we started to realize like so much of the fitness industry, as many industries, people become stars and now they have a following, and now they're either empowering or disempowering people with the information that they're sharing. And they may not be doing it intentionally, or they're doing it because there's like a sponsorship or a paycheck or something. And we just said, things really need to be based on authenticity and transparency and accountability. And we need a way to be able to do that and introduce that, but do it in a gamified type fashion. So people are happy to do something that's a good for me action, but also get a point for it or get some kind of
Right.
recognition. The technology just didn't exist, at the time when we said that. And so we had to kind of step back from the fitness world and say, well, let's work on ourselves. Let's connect with experts and people all around the world that we can mentor under and we can study and we can learn to bring the right elements back into the fitness world. Well, we're not going to do it through competitions again. That was one way we did it. Well, let's do it in a different way. And one, comedy is such an amazing way to be able to spread a message, because if you can pause long enough to laugh, like really laugh, or then you'll get more into the moment and maybe you'll pick up on that. And maybe during that phase that you're laughing, all the good for me chemicals are releasing your body, and maybe you'll be open to something different or have a creative idea or something. So let's deliver that message through comedy. And now let's just continue the book. And like, the book is written in a style that could be like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in a science fiction or a fantasy world. But it's the story about basically two people who switch souls. One's an alien and one's on planet Earth. And they're getting to experience life from new sets of eyes.
Oh, wow.
So we said, well, let's embed these really cool messages and things that we've learned and put them through the book, but then create the book into more like a whole metaverse where there's a continuity program into an accountability network where people can get together in community and they can take action steps that will make them feel good and get rewarded for it.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And yes, the Hitchhiker's Guide, the answer is 42.
You know?
And it's so true. And I know I love words. I think words are so important, and the amount of information that we can convey in using the right words. And just as you were talking, I was thinking of the word fitness and how it can apply to so many areas of our life: our mental fitness, our emotional fitness, our spiritual fitness, our financial fitness. And yet when we use that word, we only think about it in terms of physical fitness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why is that? That's crazy, right?
It is. And when you think about it, most people will think in terms of their belly or like if they have muscles.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that. You know, the people that, because we ran the bodybuilding and fitness competitions and the TV shows and magazines and things like that. So the people that are captured in those moments when there's an audience, when there's the cameras, in most cases, they've prepped for that. They've specifically dieted for that moment and everything's prepped for that. But that's not what fitness is all about. But that's what people see it as, just that the glistening muscles or, you know, the tight stomach. But fitness is just being able to bend down and touch your toes. It's being able to decide to take the stairs instead of the elevator. It's doing things in your daily routine that allow you to be a better version of you. That's what fitness is.
And it almost feels like fitness has really split. Like it seems like there's a lot less middle ground in physical fitness than there once was. Like it almost feels like a luxury to be able to take care of your physical fitness. I don't know if you guys have seen that, or if that's something that I've noticed.
When you say a luxury, how do you see that?
Well, when I talk to different people about, you know, what they're doing to help themselves in different areas, it seems like the first to go is taking time for themselves in a physical capacity, even if it's just going for a walk, which is great because you're in nature and, you know, it's meditative in a lot of ways, or eating healthy because of the prices that people are experiencing at the grocery store. Sometimes the more healthy options are the more expensive options. And those seem like those are the first to go in a lot of cases. So that's kind of what I mean about it in terms of luxury. It's almost creating like a physical fitness, like class system within our society.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to look at it. And yeah, I know what you mean now.
Yeah. Because people put it low on their priority list.
Yeah. Which is why you guys focus on accountability.
Yeah. And, you know, it's information because yes, food prices are higher and healthier choices are much more. And at the same time, when you're eating more nutrient dense foods, you don't need to eat as much.
Right.
So there's part of a mindset of, well, I don't
Good
need
point.
to eat as much as I normally ate. I've got to eat enough to get the nourishment. So it's in one way is being able to reframe the way that you're looking at food. You're either eating or you're nourishing. If
Mm,
you're just eating, yeah, okay, that it doesn't really matter.
yeah.
You'll sit back and have your treats and stuff like that. But if you're nourishing, well, then you don't need as much food if it's nutrient dense foods.
And those can be a challenge to find.
Yeah.
I personally have a garden. We've been gardening kind of off and on, but the lockdown really kind of highlighted the importance to us of being able to have um, some measure of control over our own food sources.
Yep.
Having chickens and getting fresh eggs and those kind of things. So I completely noticed a difference. The food that we would, when we were having the tomatoes and the squash and the zucchini and the cucumbers and the peas and all these delicious food out of our garden. And when those went out of season and we bought them from the grocery store, it just doesn't taste the same.
Wow. That's a neat discovery.
It's neat and sad sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also like for anyone who's hearing this and that you share that with, it motivates them to do the same thing. And that's so valuable for themselves and also their wallet.
It's funny
Yes.
because someone on Facebook in a group was saying that she wants to get into gardening. Does anyone have any tips? And of course, I was like, I'd love to share what I've learned. And she's a massage therapist, and so we're exchanging services. I'm teaching her about gardening,
Sweet.
and I'm getting massages out of it. I'm like, this is the best. I absolutely adore barter systems where we can have energetic exchanges and not just exchanges in currency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's ideal. I think that's perfect because it's like you're actually exchanging with like passion and like joy, and it's not just, the dollar that's motivating it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I want to get back to the accountability piece of this because all of this is great to say, but unless we actually do it, it's so helpful. So tell us a little bit about the accountability network and how that works within your system.
Okay, so for years, what we've wanted to create and what's being created now is a place where people can, number one, find wholesome products and proven methods and systems and authenticated role models.
Mm.
Not so the way that we've structured this is by inviting experts and innovators and people who have insight and information and inspiration to share.
It's like the people who did the ridiculous and achieved the remarkable to now share their information, their insights, and their innovations.
Oh,
And then allow the wave of people to come in who are coming in because they're looking for that accountability. They're looking for that extra support.
To do the ridiculous.
They're looking at that. Either they want to be able to engage in more creative aspects, or they want to look after their health in different ways. It's being able to pair people with the right partner, the right connection. So we're using AI in a capacity of being able to pair the right people together and be able to create a team. So you don't have just one accountability buddy, you have multiple that are going to help you in the different areas of your life. And the whole process is gamified. So, when you were talking about people may not have the luxury and think about they're going for a walk because it's for their health. But maybe if you said, what if you went out every day at sunset and grabbed a picture? And do that for the next 30 days and share your pictures, and you're going to get rewarded and points and stuff like that. And after 30 days, share with us how you feel because you've actually gone outside every day for 30 days and maybe you have to walk to the park or whatever it is. It's just if you get people to do something in a fun way without them thinking that it's a fitness thing that they're doing,
sure.
And then they're going to get the benefit.
Right.
So what we've done is we've created this in a way where there's an even playing field. The products and services and people that rise to the top are the ones that there's been positive feedback. There's been experiences that the community has had that allow those people to elevate.
And we're encouraging, like what you just talked about, a bartering system so that people who have a passion and a purpose can actually put their skills to use by like educating somebody else and then get something in exchange. And it may not be directly from that one person, it could be from somewhere else. But people are becoming fulfilled because they're sharing what they love and helping other people love what they want to do.
Oh, I love that you gamify it because, you know, I use the example a lot in terms of accountability of us driving. And if we're driving and we know the speed limit's supposed to be 55 and we go 65, all of a sudden, if we see a cop, everybody knows how to drive 55 again, you know, but that's kind of like the negative part of accountability. But the gamification piece of like, hey, if you go 55, you're going to get some sort of reward at the end. That's a really nice spin on that. And I really, really like that part of it.
Cool.
So the next question I have for you guys is, you mentioned you've been together 25 years, working together. What has that been like as part of your relationship? And has all of your business been together, or are there only parts of the business where you work together and you each have separate passions?
We kind of do everything together, although we each focus on some other elements of it.
Yeah.
So I'll give the example with the book. I normally write it first, then I read the chapter to Mindy, then Mindy goes in and edits it, then she reads it back to me, and then we do any other editing, and then it goes to an editor. So like her passion is in the editing process, where I don't like that part.
The development editing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we found over the years that we do everything together, but there's just different aspects that we've taken charge of, because as an entrepreneur, there's not just like one hat to wear. You have to wear like an endless amount.
Yeah.
And we just both gravitated to other areas that we both needed to be, but it was
Yeah.
always just working together.
Yeah, it's like we do these things that are walk and talks, and we have like conversations about work and stuff and brain bliss like pretty much daily, and like just like it's part of what we do. It's our passion, it's our purpose. But then at the end of that, we both go off and we each have our own elements that we've grown into and that like are needed to be filled, spots that needed to be filled. And it just so happened that we were easily able to develop those skills that were needed, but like opposite. So he would do like all the like numbers and money stuff, and this is back with Fame. And then I would do more the like creative like posters and like, you know, things like that. He would do more the judging, and I would do the more athlete liaison. So like it would be like we would take different ends of the same business and what we were creating, back with Fame, with what we did in the fitness world. And then we did that, like Jeff was saying, again with the book, the exact same thing.
Wow.
It would be his imagination, and then I would just go develop it and fine tune it and kind of that kind of thing to you know, embed more messaging or ensure the layers were there and stuff like that, but keep his imagination intact so that it's his story. So yeah, that's kind of how we do it.
Oh, that's so nice because, you know, over this much time, I mean, just anyone who's in a long-term relationship, there's fights and quibbles and things that happen. And then when it's your life and your business that you're with all the time, there's got to be challenges there. So what are some of the keys to success that have made this such a successful business partnership as well as romantic partnership?
Good question. I think it's that we know each other so well. And I think that allows the focus of the mood to go in those directions. And yes, there's challenges along the way. We've had many challenges that we've had to deal with, but it's more is the speed to which those things are resolved. I think that's so important. You know, if a disagreement happens, does it take like 5 minutes to resolve? Does it take an hour? Does it take days? Does it take weeks? And I think it's the ability to resolve it very quickly is what's important, because a mood can change in a moment.
Right.
It's the energy that you're associating and putting forth with it.
And I'll add on to what he was saying, that, yeah, we've been together for so long, so we know each other so well. But a part of the way that we know each other so well is we're also kind of there to be each other's partners in growth and in empowerment, so
Mhm.
that we can call each other out on, our stuff that, like our moods, or the things that trigger us, or, when we're not behaving in a way that is like finding the gems, or, things like that. We're able to kind of call each other out on it and communicate it in a way that eventually resolves it. And that's like the whole point of what we believe is the human experience. Like, get yourself to be the most happy, authentic, and fulfilled you that you can be. So in being like partners, it's like partners not just in like, personal and professional. It's partners in helping that person be their most happy version of themselves.
Mm. And wouldn't it be lovely if that's how everyone thought of partnerships? Like, of all kinds, we're all just here to support and help each other grow. I mean,
would
I
love
think
that.
that's what we are here to do, but not everyone sees it that way.
Yeah,
So,
well, life gets in the way,
Yeah.
but that's part of it. It's how do you
How do you
handle that,
think about it?
or how do you handle it as together?
right.
Yeah.
What kind of regrets do you guys have over your career?
I've thought about that, many times, and each time I realized, oh yeah, that could have been better. But if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have learned this, which led to this or this. I think it's a matter of how you frame it, because a regret means you're carrying that negative charge on it. And we've looked at things always as these are learning experience. It's like, that was really shitty. So here's an example. So we had built up for our book, and we were going to do a big launch. It was our first launch. It was in a great location. We spent about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, just everything was promoting this, and all these people are coming. We have the event. 5 minutes before we're going to start our talk, we have live set up all over the place. Like, this is going to be streamed to like hundreds of thousands of people, plus the people live.
Professional announcer.
We had an 8-piece band. We had all this stuff. 5 minutes before, the lights went out. So some people thought, oh, that's probably part of the act.
Could have been.
I knew it wasn't. And then some alarms started going off.
Near.
I guess everything's starting now. And no, that's not going to happen. Then the smoke happened, and then everyone was evacuated out down hallways that already had smoke and were hot. So either like that could have been like devastating, because everyone's, oh my God, this is so horrible. And it was, well, we're going to do the reading out on the street with all the fire trucks, and we're going to write into book 3 some kind of story with this and capture all you guys. So I'm not saying that I wasn't disappointed that, the financial aspect of it and everything else, but it was, okay, well, that happened. Like,
But probably a regret in that situation would be that we should have got insurance.
You're right. So another learning experience.
I just want to add though, that in talking about regrets, if what we learned from it, so if we knew what we knew then, what we would have done differently then would have been, we would have made our voice heard. We would have spoken up, like when anyone kind of said something that wasn't taking into account what we were really feeling or thinking. And just trying to talk over us and be right. We would stand up more for ourselves. We would basically, I think that was the biggest thing, that we would trust our intuition and our gut and tap into our authentic selves and really be a voice for what we need to be a voice for our passion and our purpose.
There's that one, I guess that's like a piece of advice or insight, is what Minnie was saying, is each of the times that we didn't really pay attention to our gut feel was when it didn't go the way we had thought it was going to go.
But on the other side, the person is going, trust me.
Right. So it's that ability to understand the gut feel part versus, but I really want this to happen. And if I just ignore that, maybe it may not go that way, but that gut feel, that's all your knowledge, that's everything in you and all your guides and everything else saying something
Yeah.
to you. And it's typically when you go opposite it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, because it's usually like
Yeah.
ego talking, and you're like, oh, why didn't I listen to my gut? Instinct knows, ego,
Yeah.
not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just deciphering between the two. And then once you can, it's like such a gift because it's like a guidance tool.
Absolutely. So the last question I have for you guys is, how do you define success for yourselves, and do you feel successful now?
I feel successful because I'm happy and I feel happy in my daily life, no matter what stresses or like crazy situations are going on around me. And I find that I feel successful because amazing things like capture my attention that never caught my attention before, like a sunrise or like, something in nature, sun sparkling on water, an interaction between a parent and their kid, between siblings, things like that that just like make me smile regularly. And I feel successful because the on our pathway to go from the fitness industry when we work there being all about appearance to us discovering it has to be more than that, it has to be self-love. Well, we had to discover self-love. So I feel successful because I have self-love. I feel successful because I've completely changed myself as a person. I was shy, now I'm confident. I was, unsure, now I'm like certain, like of like my authentic self. And it's such a gift and such a blessing. Although there are other things that I want to accomplish, but overall success wise, I feel so grateful and fulfilled because of that.
Beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, I feel successful because I know what I've accomplished and I know what I'm not looking at things from this exact moment in time. I'm seeing it from what we've created and how that experience is out there and how it's impacting. So I'm living in that world of it. And I feel successful that I've been able to do a lot of really amazing things.
Oh, yeah, that's
travel
true.
around the world, meet such amazing people, getting mentored by such powerful and amazing people, and
Influence the fitness industry.
influencing things that, again, at the beginning I was told that's ridiculous and there's no way you're going to do it, and we accomplished that. So that's really cool.
And I will add that I also feel successful because our relationship has like it's gotten so good and it still gets better because like we're still growing. And so to be in a relationship like that with somebody who you actually enjoy being around and all the time and still like joke around and have fun with and play around with and are serious with also, but like just to have that kind of communication and connection, it feels successful to me.
Oh, beautiful answers. Well, I have really enjoyed our time together. Thank you so much for sharing your authenticity, your truth, your light, all of the beautiful aspects that we've discussed today. Please tell the people how they can get in touch with you and how they can work with you.
Well, our website is doridiculous.com, and we're on social media. I'm under my full name, which is at Jeffrey Kipple, and Mindy's is at Hey Mind Heart.
Which is kind of my first two names because it's Mindy Heather. But if you take those letters and you scramble them up, that's what you get.
Oh, look at that. Well, I will have all of the links in the show notes for everyone to make it so easy to click on. But thank you both so very much for being here.
You're very welcome. It was great having the opportunity.
And to the listeners, thank you for being here.